Thank you, Madam President. Yes, good afternoon this time, Madam President. And to my esteemed fellow senators, I would like to pay condolences to former Senator Joachim Henry on the loss of his dear son, and to all the other bereaved families in St. Lucia who have suffered the loss, especially through COVID-19. Before I start, Madam President, I'd like to welcome the new independent senator to the House. But I would like to, the senator on the other side, that he is probably placed in a position where he will have to learn a little as to the modus operandi of the people, the esteemed senators and party that he has just joined. Because there are some questions that he asked, Madam President. He asked whether a government would actually borrow money and waste it. The answer is a resounding yes, it is happening at the moment. He also intimated that the government is creating opportunities. Then again, the question is, creating opportunities for whom? It is certainly not for the starving people of this island, I can assure you. And further on, I would have gone into speaking about the danger of creating oligopolies in this country. And an oligopoly is a large firm, a commercial juggernaut that controls a market share. And we have a situation where, in the situation of the telecom companies, we actually had to form regulatory commissions to actually control their way of doing business. So these are dangers that are on the horizon, and I beg that you exercise caution. To the substantial business, Madam President. I rise here today to challenge on points of economic policy, social philosophy, logic and rationale, the appropriation bill, which seeks to give authority to the estimates of revenue and expenditure for the period 2020 to 2021, and has been sanctioned by the House of Assembly in a previous sitting. Before I raise a few other pertinent matters, Madam President, relating to the said bill before us for discussion, let me make a very telling observation relating to the cover page of the document which we often refer to as the Economic and Social Review. If we look closely, Madam President, we will see this, the photo which represents the spike proteins of the dreaded SARS-CoV-2 virus, better known as the COVID-19 disease, which has virtually decimated the entire world and transformed our lives in so many ways. But further examination will show, Madam President, that the disease has been managed by countries big and small in a variety of ways. East countries such as Australia, New Zealand, South Korea, and St. Kitts and Nevis have fared relatively well, whilst others such as the USA, Brazil, and St. Lucia have performed poorly. The striking common denominator amongst the grade F countries can be characterized by the level of attentiveness or lack thereof of the leaders, namely Donald J. Trump, Jair Bolsonaro, and our own Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Alan M. Shastny. These leaders have failed to follow the science of medicine, and so the dire consequences of disproportionate loss of life is something that lends itself to being very unfortunate. The donor consistently dismissed Dr. Anthony Fauci and his proposition to wear masks, while Bolsonaro embraced the use of hydroxychloroquine as the next best beverage after Kool-Aid. Again, here in St. Lucia, Madam President, we fail to fully advocate testing and instead assume that visitors tended naturally to be disease immune, plus that the lethal coronavirus British variant B112 was only worthy of cursory surveillance, and not even a mention in the 1.5 pages in the budget address outlining our COVID response. It has since been very apparent, Madam President, that the variant, together with others, such as the South African and Indian derivatives, may well be mounting a counterattack to the anxiously sought vaccination alternatives. Through you, Madam President, I would like to congratulate the Honorable Senator responsible for health in actually stepping back from the last presentation in the House and taking the suggestion, the very humble suggestion, that oxygen being an important element could have been produced easily. But I ask, Madam President, is it a little late in the game? Also, Madam President, ironically, now testing, as annotated on the same front cover of the 2022 review, has finally found its rightful place as one of the nodes of importance. But again, is it too late for the bereaved families? This is not how you put people first, Madam President. Putting people first means that your policy has to be aligned to your actions. And this is what the St. Lucia Labour Party will do. In summary of the COVID response, Madam President, the hackneyed assertion throughout the compilation of the budget address that the total disruption of our economy and so many other things COVID-related has been seen by many discerning citizens of this country as a smokescreen to avert all blame for the gross failure I referred to earlier. I turn to section 2 of the document here, which is the Prime Minister's budget address. And it reads in part, and I quote, "We examined our testing and contact tracing capability," unquote. This, I suggest, Madam President, should be read in proper context.
Where are you quoting from, Senator? And can I have the page, please?
Excuse me, Madam President?
Where are you
I must apologize for getting some of the papers.
Where are you quoting from, and may I have the page, please?
It's page number 15, Madam. The context that I was referring to, Madam President, is how non-existent was the testing then and how minimal is it now. Again, I contend, Madam President, that this is not how you show that you care about your people. I personally will not accept the failed excuse of the COVID-19 response as a get-out-of-jail-free card in the national game of monopoly being played by this administration. As if there was not enough structural failure for Fair Helen, Madam President, she wishes to pose the following questions to our leaders. Was the country in negative growth in 2019? The colleague on this side has already debunked the promise of 50 to 60 tons of bananas being exportable to France and the rest of the EU. Are we still waiting for the 50 to 60 tons? Also, Madam President, this was long before COVID-19, before the current 2020 to 2021 budget. And furthermore, Madam President, where are the Mizi hotels the now deflated administration promised from 2016, long before COVID-19, before this current 2021 budget? Noteworthy to say, Madam President, that it was actually the SLP who was built the majority, the lion's share of hotels in this country. Another question, Madam President. Why was there a fundamental lack of caring for the people long before COVID-19 and before this current 2021 budget? I suggest, Madam President, that our people have been sacrificed at the altar of the tourism dollar. An incoming SLP administration will definitely put people first. With your approval, Madam President, I will turn to allocations which support the national road infrastructure. And this is on page 53 of the budget address for the financial year. The National Road Rehabilitation Program, with particular emphasis to the Grosley and Castries North Road projects, has been mentioned therein, albeit as a passing comment. I will still, however, Madam President, bring sharper focus to bear on this national program, as I have personally made a few observations which are grave enough to me and concerns me as a practicing quantity surveyor of over 42 years. In essence, I have been grappling with the two development concepts for this program. On one hand, Madam President, I have noted that in Soufrière for Saint-Jacques, the incumbent honorable member of Parliament laments that he is being accused of building roads to nowhere. Whereas, on the other hand, in the extreme north of the island, we have all seen no new roads to anywhere. In other words, Madam President, we seem to have embarked on an extremely expensive upgrading and maintenance project, which may well possess highly questionable motives. The troubling concerns which I alluded to are as follows. One, the value-added equity normally expected on the both massively expensive and infamous 2 kilometers of road in Grosley, which forms the upgrading works, are not apparent. For example, registered surveyors like myself, who conduct valuations, will not be inclined to reporting any significant increase in property value thereat purely on the upgrading of the wearing course or the wearing surface of the existing access roads. Such increases in an area characterized by very few virgin or undeveloped plots are usually influenced by various other demand and supply factors, together with macroeconomic considerations. An example of that, Madam President, is that from the Bois d'Orange area to the Bonte Gap, you would value property depending on size, attributes, appeal, between $55 and $90 a square foot. I can almost assure you that these values will not be increased in the short to medium term. I can also assure you, Madam President, that it would be easier to achieve a reduction in the commuting time from Castries to Gozele and vice versa by reconfiguring the exit and entry points at the former Glass supermarket, the SNS store, and the Monjero Junction, instead of this highly costly arrangement. Two, also troubling, Madam President, and still on the paragraph relating to the national road infrastructure, is the contractual arrangements and lack of transparency in the procurement process. And I respectfully ask again, which form of contract was used to engage the hand-picked contractor? Was it the internationally familiar FIDIC, and FIDIC means the Fédération Internationale des Ingénieurs Civils, or a contract based on a schedule of rates, or a cost plus fixed fee contract, or a cost plus percentage contract? If it is the latter, Madam President, what we have simply is the more wastage that we have, the more overkill, the more money that goes into the contractor's pocket. Another question, Madam Deputy President, welcome to the chair, is that does this contract have any liquidated damages or other penalties for non-performance, such as design errors? And interestingly, who bears the brunt, who pays the cost of errors in the design, in the faulty works, and the subsequent demolition and reinstatement works? The foregoing, Madam Deputy President, are not questions posed only by qualified professionals, but also by a 21st century enlightened John public. After all, the government is only supposed to be a trustee of the consolidated fund. But we notice what's happening in St. Lucia at the moment with this uncaring administration. It is not a private enterprise. We noticed a couple of days ago, there was a big public relations exercise to actually take mayors from as far as Castries to have a visit at the ongoing, behind schedule, St. Jude's Hospital. And mind you, Madam Deputy President, St. Jude's Hospital is located in the extreme south of the island. You have Member of Parliament representing Beaufort South, Member of Parliament representing Beaufort North, Labrie. You have the next representative for Mico South right here in this chamber. And yet none of these individuals were invited on behalf of the people that they represent to conduct a tour of St. Jude's. It is not private enterprise. This is public funds. And we have to account to the whole of the electorate for the monies that are spent and even access to the building. But some of us who are very versed in economic development and science and accounts, the project does not belong to you. It belongs to the people. I strongly declare, Madam Deputy President, that the stunt now taking place at Rodney Bay is nonsense and not common sense. Conventionally, good practice dictates that the final commitment of the parties to a building contract is also is only known after the conduct of what we call the final account. Factoring into the equation documented or agreed additions and omissions inter alia, amongst others. So, Madam Deputy President, the burning question is interest on the upper limit of the contract sum already being paid? These are relevant questions. A passer, Madam Deputy President, let me also draw to your attention the fact that our highly glorified National Roads Program is very capital intensive. You can see a lot of backhoes and scrapers and excavators, and these pieces of equipment are rented at $300, $400, $500 per hour, vis-a-vis the normal person employed, the normal what we call the laborer, at $80 to $100 a day. And furthermore, Madam Deputy President, when you travel along a road finished with asphaltic concrete, there are different kinds of concrete, reinforced concrete, asphaltic concrete. The most expensive part of this road cross-section is the wearing cost or the surface, the black gold, the black tar. This all has to be imported together with the bitumen cut back in the form of kerosene. And this is not a project that normally generates a lot of employment, as we have been presented with in this house many times. This is a myth. Most of the money goes into equipment. Besides, have you ever driven past one of these projects and seen how many men work on the project? You hardly find any women. They are confined to functions of traffic management and traffic signs. But we know, Madam Deputy President, that most of the pillars of our households in St. Lucia and many countries around the world are women. So what are we doing as far as employment of these people? Let me send out a soft word of caution to the relevant stakeholders that contracts under seal may well be subject to reassessment and review under the legal consideration of quantum merit. A quantum merit, in the time when we did the old school, is the Latin for value for money. Bearing in mind in this case that the overarching fiduciary responsibility of a government in the expenditure of the people's money is accountability. However, in the same paragraph, I will hasten to add that I am not a legal eagle, but only a quantity surveyor of some experience. But I can assure you that an incoming SLP administration has enough capability in its toolbox to actually conduct all of these exercises. I repeat once again, Madam Deputy President, this National Road Infrastructure Program is not private enterprise. Finally, in the contract of governance of our nation, Madam Deputy President, you may well have found my statement of claim compelling enough that there is sufficient grounds to vitiate the contract of faith between the current administration and a sour electorate come the day of the next examination at the polls. I thank you on behalf of the Senate, Madam President, for having indulged me today, and I also would like to thank, through you, Madam President, the leader of the opposition, who has been gracious enough and thoughtful enough to have appointed me as an opposition senator under Section 24(2)(b) of our Constitution. Long live the party of bread, freedom of justice, and long live the St. Lucia Labour Party.